Let's go back and talk to our friend Shabnam Assadollahi. I'm sorry, I'm working on getting that right.
No problem.
Anyway, one of the things I wanted to do was to really concentrate on the closing of the embassy in the first place. How did that, what role did you play in that?
I translated the article, the interview Mr. Hamid Mohammadi was given to the Office of Responsible for Cultural Affairs for the Iranian regime abroad.
Okay.
So that, again, as I told you, by accident I find out, and that was all because of my parents, who were very upset about the curriculum, Islamic curriculum was taught in our public services, public schools.
Right.
The interview that, I can just read you the last question that they asked Mr. Mohammadi, which is really crystal clear for a diplomat to say that they out loud what they are expecting from Iranians.
Mm-hmm.
They asked that, the 13 lastly, can you make any recommendation for the betterment of Iranians residing in Canada? And Hamid Mohammadi answers, to this question I can say that by 2031, the total immigrant population of Canada will increase by 64%, and that the number of Iranians will increase due to the birth rate. So therefore, we need to put into effect very concentrated cultural programs in order to enhance and nurture the culture in this fast-growing population. It is obvious that this large Iranian population can only be of service to our beloved Iran through these programs and gatherings. Second, the Iranian community, while maintaining its Islamic and Persian culture roots, can survive as an elite community and resist being melted into the dominant Canadian culture only if it aspires to occupy high-level and key positions. This would not be possible in any way other than by arming their children with a high level of education and preparing them for cultural survival in Canada.
So in other words, he wants Canada to support an ex-Iranian regime almost.
Well, we have two Iranian members of parliament right now.
Yes, we do.
And both of them were highly endorsed by the Iranian state media agency.
So what was the government's reaction?
During the interview, Iranian regime liked them. They promised in the interview in Persian. I really didn't have any time to sit down and translate the whole the interview. Both of them from Toronto, one from Willowdale, the other from Richmond Hill. Both of them said to Sharq News Agency that one of their main goals is to revoke Bill C-24. Why? Why they promised that they have to? Their main goal is to revoking Bill C-24. What is wrong with that bill? There's nothing wrong with that bill. If I am a Canadian and I make this country as my land and I can give my life to this country for the freedom of this country which has given to me, why do I have to work to revoke that bill? That bill is protecting us.
So what was when the Conservatives heard this, what was their reaction? Like, how did, is this the kind of information that helped bring down, shut down relations and the embassy?
And they said in that interview, not the Conservatives, the member of parliament, they're new in this government, liberal government.
Okay.
We didn't have any Iranian member of parliament for federal,
Okay.
We had a candidate, and unfortunately he lost with 1,000. Michael Parsa.
Mm-hmm.
Just this recent election, he lost it in Richmond Hill. But both of them are newly elected, and they said in an interview to Sharq News, an Iranian state media agency, that they are going to do their best to have normalizing the Iran-Canada relationship and reopening the embassy.
Well, they certainly seem to have been successful on that front.
And number 13 of the interview, the question which I just read,
Yeah.
on air that shows that, Iranian regime is succeeding. And, they badly were harmed and hurt after the closure of the embassy because we received information from the sources who had, people inside of the Iranian embassy before the closure of the embassy that Mr. Muttaki, who is very close to Ayatollah Khamenei, said that tell Harper government, tell Canadian government, do not meddle with us.
Oh, really? So that was
yes. If they meddle with us, it's very easy for us to bring the issues of First Nations. And it's really easy for us, that's what I'm quoting from what I heard, which I reported this to National Post, and also Peter McKay's wife, Nazanin Afshinjam, also sent an email reporting the whole thing that we heard, that it is easy for us to put bombs on Rideau Canal or Parliament building.
So a direct threat of violence against Canada.
So yes.
Wow.
And then, shortly after what I heard about, what sources said, the Iranian regime started bringing the stuff about, human rights violation by Canada, the First Nations, and what happened with First Nations being what do you call that Canada should really follow the rules, and Canada in United Nations, and also one of the members of First Nation community went to Iran and was interviewed by Iran's state media, Press TV, and Iranian regime promised the First Nation group that we will open our universities to your females, and we can allow them to come to Iran and study in our universities. So everything started from there, when I just felt, oh my goodness, what they said about First Nation is kind of true. What about the second part? And then we know that, in 2010, I believe that an Iranian origin man with the name of Hiva Mohammad Alizadeh was arrested, and he was going to detonate 50 bombs with in Arba, probably, if you recall the information.
Yeah.
So when you put two and two together, you feel like, and the interview that Mr. Mohammadi was given, and also our building in Iran, the Canadian Embassy's building in Iran, was not very safe and was very old. So they decided, Harper government decided to shut down the embassy. And also they were planning to open an interest house in here, interest section in here, through the Oman embassy, which I'm not sure the Oman embassy has opened or not. And they discussed the whole thing with Rouhani's government, and they were okay with that to have the Iranian embassy's building, which is present right now downtown Ottawa, so Metcalf. Oman was going to move there until they had their own building, and this was going to happen if after elections. So the Liberal government has a different policy on Iran, and they want to normalize. And also Mr. Trudeau's Prime Minister's brother also is a filmmaker, and he has a close relationship with Press TV and the Iranian regime. And he was a campaign manager, I believe, if I am not mistaken.
Now,
Sasha.
just let me make sure, because I just want to make sure I have everything straight in my head. So, were the threats of violence made in that interview, did that happen while the Conservatives were still in power, and that's what caused them to shut down, break off relations and shut down the embassy?
Yes.
Okay, so
this happened in 2012.
Okay, so what do you think the chances are, and maybe you don't know this, and you might be the wrong person to ask, but let me throw the question out there anyway, because who knows, maybe you do. Would this information be available to, I can't imagine it wouldn't be, to Justin Trudeau and his cabinet?
I emailed him recently again.
Okay, so
I emailed him and Mr. Dion and PMO, and also the Minister of Immigration.
Well, wouldn't it change?
It's just, I talked to it at the end. They never respond.
Okay, but what I was going to say is, when I was serving in the Navy, when you went down on watch and you changed over the crew, right? The turn of the watch, so to
Right.
speak. You told what was important to the person being your relief. So when if I went down below and I changed the watch, the guy would tell me what the status of the equipment was, you know, anything pertinent to doing my job carrying forward after he was relieved. I can't imagine the government wouldn't do the same thing. That when you have a change of government, all the relative, especially national security issues, would have been discussed with the incoming government so that they could carry on and make decisions based on the best information available at the time.
It appears Mr. Trudeau is following Mr. Obama's policy
Yeah, but how? Okay, so
on Iran.
okay, look, we're going to take a break because my head is spinning, and I want to just kind of let it settle down a little bit, because if he did in fact know this, and you emailed him, okay, there's a lot of filters between you and the Prime Minister. Okay, his secretaries and different. Who knows whether he even reads his own emails? I don't know. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But if he did know this and isn't acting on that information, that has huge ramifications. So with that, Shab, stay right there. We'll take a break and we'll come back with the final segment right after this.